We won't go through the whole thing, but so I've got a little ticker down here that says, now playing BowtieUP live by Mark Youngerman, and I just didn't. I was fumbling around because I put it in the wrong place, and that's what Alex is supposed to be here for, but obviously he's not here, so that's what was playing by Mark Youngerman, who we're trying to get on the show, by the way. We've been talking to him. He's a musician from Sweden. And absolutely phenomenal. If you get to check out his YouTube channel, he has music spanning all kinds of genres, and he's super prolific. I really enjoy his work, and he was nice enough to do this custom piece for me. So we're gonna try to get him on the show so that we can have him do an original piece or two and just hang out with us for a while. So anyway. So welcome back. A lot of our audience members will know you, but for those that don't, just do the quick turnaround of who you are and what you do.
There's technical difficulty there, so I'm hoping you said to come introduce myself, Lee, because if you didn't, doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So, hey to anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Lindsay Fox, and you can find me at lindsayfox.com. And I am the virtual event producer. So all things events, all things experience and audience experience, I'm your gal.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to get into the experience element of it pretty heavy today with our topic. And I want to invite, before we get into this, I'm going to stick this StreamYard link here, if I can find my feed. Right in there in the feed, and just be that brave. If you want to come in, talk about this, I'm totally cool with that. And if you want to just hang out on the sidelines like you usually do and be a Brady cat, I guess that's okay too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what we're going to be talking about today is online training, courses, workshops, all that good stuff. Most of us who are service providers eventually get to the point where we want to start teaching and not just doing. And then, of course, there are plenty of people who are just course creators without the coaching element of it. But there's no doubt that better results from the online training. And that's not only from our standpoint as course creators, but as students as well when we're taking courses. And I hear Gary Monty in the audience says he's glad to add his 2 cents worth. If you haven't met Gary, he's a wonderful guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to just, come on in. I'm gonna, let me throw the link in here and jump on in, and the more the merrier, or at least as many as this thing can hold. So there you go.
I'm going to just shoot in and just say, if I disappear, guys, for any reason, it's not because I don't love you or you said something really offensive. It's just because my Mac is saying to me, we're going to force you to quit things because it seems to have thought it's going to run out of memory. I've got no idea why, but it's decided it's going to have a padding.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know that. It's not just,
it's nothing personal.
Lee finally crossed the line, and we're all abandoning him now because that's definite. I subscribe.
You mean there's a line?
I subscribe to the multi-universe theory, and we have to, I think, at least accept that there could be a universe in where there's a line I could cross, and in which I crossed it, and then abandon all hope thereafter.
I'm not too worried about the line. Don't worry.
No. Okay.
My God. I just thought,
Far end. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the experience end of it, because you've got some statistics you've shared before about how do I get it? It's Gary, it's a stream link in the comments, or what, I can PM it to you on LinkedIn if you want. Oh, you're over at YouTube.
He's on YouTube. Why. Cool.
Oh,
I like a guy that streams a good YouTube. Good boy.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll copy the link in LinkedIn, so if you can hop over there and grab that, Gary, then we can go ahead and add you to the discussion and watch. He'll probably be over here and ready by the time I type this. Oh, gamification, experience. What can we do? What are we doing to make training better so that you can actually get through it, so that people are consuming what we're putting our hard effort into putting out there, and they can get what they're investing in. Uh-oh. You're muted. I can't hear you. I think I not hear you. Okay. And while we're waiting for the sound to come back here, hey, as my good friend Brian Brody would say, please stand by. And I do want to shout out happy birthday to Brian Brody while Lindsay is getting her audio back in order. You're back. Are you sure? You do notice that we still can't hear you. This is silent edition. Where in LinkedIn will I find? I'm trying to do like 3 things at once here, people. Just cut me some slack. I don't even have Alex here to cover for. No. By the way, while I'm sidebarring my sidebar here, holy crap! Why are we having so many problems with this? It is Mango's birthday. Thank you. I finally remember what the heck I was talking about. It is Mango's birthday today. So happy first birthday to Mango. And if you don't know Mango, that is Alex McDowell, my co-host's son, which is most likely why he is not with us today. I know they just had the smashing of the cake about an hour and a half ago or so. And I just PM'd you that StreamYard link to join, Gary. So you should have that, and you're already in here. Okay, so I told you, by the time I got it typed in there, you probably would have already figured it out, and you did. So, Lindsay, it's nice to see you back. The hairstyle change is a bit drastic, and you seem to have grown some facial hair. But otherwise, all is well. Oh, you changed your background too. No. So, welcome back, Gary Monty. Gary, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, good. Well, I am absolutely glad to see you today. This is one of those episodes that just this has been one of those dates that's gotten booked and canceled and booked and canceled. And as of like 2:00 today, I was like, okay, well, we got nothing. But we're not going to back down from a challenge. We're going to bring edutainment to the world because that's what we do. So Lindsay said, yeah, I'll be here. And so she's having some technical problems. Alex is off enjoying Mango's first birthday party. I can't believe that he's old enough to have a 1-year-old, but yeah. And so Lindsay's over on Facebook saying she's coming back and castigating the Apple Corporation.
I have Apple. Be careful there.
I'm not getting in the middle of that one. But in the meantime, while those technical issues are being resolved, we have Gary Monty. Gary, what's going on in your world?
Well, it's kind of interesting. The topic is online training because I've been teaching online since '98.
Okay.
So
you might have a few things to say about that.
Yeah, I might be considered a dinosaur. I can hardly spell gamification, let alone implementing it. I'm old school. If I have a bunch of people that get distracted by the word squirrel, they need to go find someone else to be their instructor.
All right. Fair enough. So I will have Lindsay confirm when she gets back, but she shared a statistic a previous time that we talked about north of 90% of people who start online courses, and that's just in general, do not finish them.
Wow.
And I know that I've bought them. I've I've been suckered into the Udemy training. Hey, look, we're doing a sale, and bought training that I may not have spent a lot of money on it, but the fact of the matter is that I'm still missing out on a lot of wisdom when I don't follow through. And so I see that as being, it's not something that the course creators alone can fix, and it's not something that the students alone can fix. What I'm looking for in this discussion is ways that both course creators and students can improve the result that they get from the relationship that they agree to enter into.
Well, one of the first problems is the whole approach of most online courses. It's an educational Venus flytrap. The goal is to have some honey that draws you in, and then when you're in, it just closes on you. And once the money's been extracted, there really isn't much interest in whether or not there's follow through. And on the other side, home shopping club. Everyone loves to make decisions based on emotionality, and everyone, by God, this $500, I know my MasterCard will be maxed out, but this is going to make all the difference. And they go for the adrenaline rush, and then what happens is when the adrenaline wears off, there's no sustained commitment. And so the course goes by the wayside. And this is what the home shopping club is extremely familiar with. Women that like lotions and creams probably have 3 closets of lotions and creams.
Well, I see Mouth and Gabe here, so we got to let Lindsay back in and weigh in on this one. But do we have words this time?
We do. We have sounds and everything. I'm back.
Oh my goodness! Hallelujah! Do I have
Hallelujah.
a hallelujah voice?
I think it was Alex's whole thing of things melting the other day. My Mac felt left out and decided it was going to have a meltdown. I'm blaming Alex. It's cool. You didn't hear me. Nobody heard me say that Lee should sing Happy Birthday to Mango. Not me.
I should.
Yeah,
okay. Well, you know what? It just turns out that I can do that. The only question is, would you like me to do that in reggae? Or would you like me to do that with a delightful sunny beach theme?
I think you're better reggae.
You've got
reggae?
Toronto board, don't you?
What?
Someone should take your stream deck away. I don't know.
No, they should not. All
He's
right.
got way too many.
That way, I don't. Yeah, no. This is this way. I don't have to show you guys what my singing voice is.
Really like that.
Happy birthday to you.
Hey, Mango! It's your first birthday! You have cupcake all over your face! And I have a feeling you'll have a lot more before it's over with.
That was better. That's better.
Oh,
I have been waiting to use that.
See, I'll give you an excuse, Lee.
by the way, Lindsay, I'm Gary.
I'm having technical
Hi.
Hi,
problems.
Gary. I was smiling away there at you saying about women having closets full of creams and lotions and potions. I
There
think
we go.
I think everyone has that emotional buy point where we're all taught, aren't we? Sell the dream, talk about the dream, talk about what they want, not the journey they're going to have to go through to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was saying before was, when none of you could hear me, which is cool. You don't have to agree with me. You can just silence me, Lee. But when we create courses, so many people are out there putting these courses together who are just being taught by coaches to make money, put your course together, build it on the fly, don't worry about anything. And they're putting content out that ultimately there's no experience, there's no thought around oh shit, what happens if, if Gary or Lee, life happens and suddenly they can't do this? What happens if they lose that one email where I sent them the logins and, I've sent them 100 other emails because I'm emailing twice a day? What does that do for that experience? There's no thought in a lot of courses around the actual experience. Most people, where they have put a bit of thought, they're relying on tools like Kajabi. The amount of people that I see that are getting, they're just saying, oh, my experience is there because Kajabi handles it. Kajabi tells them when new content has dropped. It's like, well, is that really focusing on experience? Have we really wrapped around our buyer to give them that really kind of from all angles view? Or have we just kind of created a product and using that as an excuse so we don't have to put too much more effort into it? I mean, what's your experience, guys? Because certainly that's my experience. And I've had many a blow with clients who think that that's okay, but I'm curious to know other people's opinions because I really find it annoying.
Well, I've written some professional grade courses for certifications, and I'm all with you. There is so much work that goes into having an engaging, seamless experience. And there's a seriousness about it to make it really work right. And one of the challenges is when you make it really work right, you scare away all these people that are driven by emotionality, looking for a quick fix. Oh, I'll just get Six Sigma certified online, and then I can get a $5,000 raise in my job. It's like, devil, get thee behind me, go away. It's because really good online courses aren't for everybody. Mm-hmm. They're just not. And I'm amazed at that 90% number. I've never heard a number, but then I'm not surprised. And we did an experiment at one university where I wrote a course. There was a big push for cash flow. Actually, it was a private company in conjunction with the university. And I was going to be the instructor on the course after I wrote it. And I insisted on gatekeeper rules, that there had to be stopping points with quizzes that were essay, not just multiple choice. And I graded them. And you would not believe the blowback I got from the marketing people. And I said, you do not have a gatekeeper function. All people, I said, okay, so do you have artificial intelligence to review the essays? Because do you realize they can just type in every essay question, I hate this course, I hate this course, I hate this course, because your program's just going to check to see if they made an entry of some sort. Mm-hmm. Well, they thought I was this old fuddy-duddy. And I said, okay, let's try it. And sure enough, we got into a Fortune 50 company with the course. And within a matter of a couple days, everyone realized they could fly through the course to get to the exam. People were sharing, and then we didn't make a large enough pool of questions to rotate through for the test, etc. Mm-hmm. They had about 100 people abusing the system within a week because I was the instructor. And I said, do you guys see what I'm talking about now? Mm-hmm. Ease of use in online does not mean simplistic. I have some other words, but I shouldn't say them on air.
No. We're good. Yeah.
But this is the thing, isn't it? There are people like you and I. I mean, I'm a fully qualified teacher. I'm able to teach right the way up to university grade. And I've written courses 10, 15 years ago that were certificated as well. And, you and I look at it from an educator's point of view and say, okay, we're not going to put course content out there that people can't engage with. They can't, we're going to make sure that they can learn from it. They're going to be able to complete it. And we're taking that very professional approach at it. I think the big issue that I see online is that there are so many people coming in saying, I'm qualified to do this. I read a business book once, or I cheated my way through a Six Sigma presentation in the Fortune 500 by putting, I hate this, I hate this. There are people coming in that say they're certified and they're not. And there are people who are then creating coaching courses and saying, you are now certified to teach this. But having the knowledge does not necessarily mean that you're a good teacher. And this is the bit where a lot of my 7-figure clients that I do roast, like, they know I roast them, they know I ride their tails a bit. This is the reason why, because you might have good subject knowledge, But being able to impart that knowledge is part of the experience. You've got to be able, you don't just want to sell something just because you want to make a quick buck. You've got to be able to sell something because you want to genuinely help and create the change. But you want to create that change by them actually being able to go from point A to point B and complete the transformation, rather than kind of just drop out, 2 days later because they kind of go, oh, I've got to log in. Oh, you never told me I'd have to log into the software. Do you know what I mean? It's that level. I think you and I, Gary, are very much more professional in that standard because we come from that background of, we understand that you have to be able to complete. It's core rules, but most of it online isn't that way.
Well, you brought up a really key point. When you make things slick and you make them easy, you start attracting people that feel they should be entitled to get through the course and get the certification without making an internal change in themselves. And I just tell them to piss off. Lee and I are good friends.
This is why I like Gary.
Yes, but see, I agree there. I mean, I've got a program I'm launching at the moment, although I've had to kind of slow things down because there are certain things that need more news value right now than me kind of talking about my stuff. And, I'm putting it out there and I'm not putting a guarantee with it. And it's a conversation I've had with several kind of peers and colleagues. And I said, look, I'd normally say, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is too. I'm going to put this here, but it's a 6-month incubator. And the logic behind it is, if I give you a get out of jail free card, then suddenly you as the potential user, we talk about this emotional thing. If you suddenly have that get out of jail free card, it takes some of that emotional investment and drive to succeed out. You don't go to university so that you can say, if you don't like it, I'm going to give you all your money back and you never have to do anything again. You go because you've got to do it. You're signed up. They take your student money. It's what do we teach our audience and our students as part of our marketing, I think, as well, in terms of course completion. We've got to be able to educate them. We expect them to complete the damn thing, not just sign up because we're selling you a dream.
Right. And there's a phrase in the United States, it's called guru flu. And there's just people that accrue credentials, and I consult, teach, and mentor. And one of the things I'm big on with any course, and especially with online courses, is how much blood have you shed? Because if all you did was go to Udemy and study a whole bunch of things. My favorite one right now is all the girls in their 20s that are digital marketing experts because they did their makeup show on YouTube for about 6 months and all their friends liked it. So now they're suddenly digital marketing experts. I mean, you can just tell, the way they bounce and all that. It's like, I feel an instructor has to show their scars and gray hair.
Oh, yeah.
And to push, and that's what I was hearing in your tone. You push on the students, let's get you out of your cocoon, and you need to end up in a different spot. And if you don't, when you finish this course, then I failed as an instructor. And there's this, in the United States, there's this huge blowback against that. Yeah, but instead of getting $3 million, we're only going to get $75,000 because not that many people will sign up with that level of commitment.
But will they? When you actually talk to students, will they take the action? Will they do that? Or is it just a case of people are afraid to try and be authoritative because they actually don't know what they're doing in terms of teaching?
I think it's both. I think this guru flu thing, all credentials tell me is that someone passed a test. It doesn't really tell me anything else. But the thing I noticed with this gatekeeper approach, students, they have that trepidation. And in the end, because I've taught thousands of students online, and they'll say, you pushed on me in a constructive way, and I don't think I would have mastered it. And I will stay with students. You've got my email address, just keep on sending me stuff. And if we need to do a phone call. So, I put my skin in the game too, but you're spot on, Lindsay. Sometimes you just have to push on people because it's like when I grew up, theoretically, the teacher knew more than the student. And the idea was the student was going to take the push from the teacher because the teacher was going to take the student to a spot or a dimension that's absent in the person's life. And now with this consumer approach to education. Oh, gag me with a spoon. I mean, it's just.
But this is the thing, isn't it? It's where do we put that pressure? You know, I have a no woman, no man left behind policy where we literally have a sweep up, as I would if I was in a classroom and I was teaching with a group of students, that you are going to be running around that room and you are going to be mopping up. You are going to be making sure that you're brushing everybody up from behind and you are making sure that nobody's left behind.
Right.
But I see time and time again, and I've ditched clients over this. I've actually said, you know, we had a 7-figure client last year that I told to sling the hook because I looked at their program, which they were charging very, very healthy money for, very healthy money. We are talking, you know, a bit more than 4 figures, certainly. And they were charging for a program. And I looked at it and went, holy fucking shitballs. This is not, why, how can, you know, is this not embarrassing that they are putting this out there? Because I wouldn't even pay $200 for this,
Right.
let alone 10,000 plus. I just wouldn't.
You bring
And,
up, yeah, you bring up a really good point, because now what I'm seeing is universities are branding themselves. And so now what people are saying is, I took the online certification from Harvard. I'm just, by the way, for any attorneys that are listening, I'm just pulling names out of the air. You know, so I got my certification from Harvard. I got it from Yale. And much like what you were saying, it might have been a Dick and Jane book is all they read, you know, see, spot, run. But that university has branded its name on the certificate. And there are people that they just accrue those certificates with the university brands. And that just pisses me off.
But this is the thing, because, you know, I have a very unique stance on university. I say unique because most people either love me or hate it for it. I know somebody was offended the other week when I said that I left my daughter in boarding school as a teaching lesson for, she didn't intern for me, so she wasn't going to get the reward for traveling halfway around the world. But, you know, such is. But my approach to university is, you know, I've gone to university, I've got my 3 degrees, I've got my qualifications, it's done. But I've said to my daughter, as much as I don't believe in it, because I don't believe what they're teaching now, I think it's all dumbed down to make you effectively just pay, pass the test, and you're signed off. For my daughter, I've said to her, but you still have to go and do it, because it's one of those things you have to have the little rubber stamp. Sometimes in life we have to have a rubber stamp. And I think that's really important that we consider is it the universities and is it the courses being dumbed down? Or, you know, when it comes to the likes of digital marketing, things are moving so fast. By the time you get them professionally accredited, then sometimes things have moved on so much that what you're having accredited is actually bad. You know, it's low quality. It's behind the times for what's happening now.
Yeah, this is I want to go back to one of the reasons I got into online teaching is I like to push on myself, and I'm real big on heart-to-heart connection. I lead the local chapter in Columbus. We have a podcast meetup in Columbus, and I'm the main leader for it. And one of the reasons I do this stuff and I taught online is, can I pick the thinnest channel and make a connection with the other person? So I started teaching online to challenge myself. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Lindsay, listening to you, it's real easy to listen to you because all the things that you're talking about was the struggle. I can't relay the struggle I went through when I started teaching online because I just sit at a keyboard and here's a screen. Oh, geez, how stupid was I? And yeah. I'm not sure. I think I just said this just because you've plucked a nerve that most people don't know that nerve exists within me. They've been an online instructor themselves. So I have this thing about authenticity. That's where I was going. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the key parts for any online teaching is the instructor authentic? And you were referring to this earlier, what has the instructor been through that qualifies them to be an instructor? But there's an empathetic component too, in terms of challenging the students and I'll just ask, are you having a hard time? Mm-hmm. You know, because I can sense the flow of, your section quizzes and stuff like that is slowing down. Do we need to talk? Well, yeah, it turns out, we have a phone call and their boss is a tool and stuff like that. And I'm not sure where I'm going. You just open. Open the Pandora's box of my passion associated.
But this is the thing, isn't it? We create courses where actually the focus is on completion, but so many people don't, because actually they don't know that that should be your focus. If your zone of genius is, I don't know, LinkedIn marketing, do you know that you should actually be making sure people complete? Do you know that it's your duty as an educator to do that? No. Equally, there's got to be some onus on the student, but it's how we construct those courses to make it happen. Like I literally today have been recording some FAQ videos for my launch. And one of the things that people have asked me already is there accountability? Well, yeah, there's accountability because we're doing this, this, and this. And the software I'm using, I bought deliberately so I can track, have you logged in? Have you, because it gamifies the system. So it, goes bow chicka wow wow. Every time they complete something, it's quite addictive. And it gamifies things, but it tells me when they've logged in, how many points have they accrued, where are they stuck? So you can see and you can drop in and do that. But I think that the point from Lee's initial kind of discussion was most people don't do that because most people are more bothered about making a quick buck. And how do we, if we are the boot on the other foot, course creators just need to get the finger out of the backside and really focus on experience. And if you can't do it, come see me and I'll slap you around the face with a wet fish and I'll teach you. Yes. But if it's a student on the other side, how do we, one of my teachers years ago, Lee, just a side note, used to say they would slap you with stale donuts till the jam fell out. He's a very English gent.
Wow.
But, with students, how can we help students take ownership of the courses that they buy? So even if they are buying from that emotional point, they are completing the courses because, just owning them is not enough to say that you've done it. Yeah, how do we give them those battle scars?
Yeah.
Can you put that quote back?
That's why, I just wanted to, I didn't want to leave it up there and have people focus on, this is Charles Sterling, and I don't know why it comes in just as late. Apparently I goofed something up, but social media app developers know how to make their products addictive. See Indistractable by Neil. So use the same principles to keep people engaged in online training. Okay, that's awesome. That's an excellent.
That is a really good book.
Is it? Okay. Have not. So there's 2 thumbs up for that. So, we really appreciate, all resources around here. That's why he says, he's wanted to know why I was so excited about it. He said he didn't deserve a participation trophy. It's like, no, I think it's a very valid point. And a very great point. I love the term participation trophy. It makes me giggle because I was at a corporate events once where somebody actually said at this corporate event, that her ultimate goal in life was to be a trophy wife. And I snickered to my wife. I looked over. I was like, maybe a participation trophy wife. I don't know. And she was like, you can't say that.
You really can. You really can say that.
A participation trophy wife. Oh my God.
Is that kind of lower down the pecking order, do we think?
I think if Dante, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was raised Catholic, so but I have friends that women went to college just to snag a pastor. They would just go to a Bible college or something like that because they wanted to be a pastor's wife. What I would see, I went to a liberal arts college. Women would be education majors, and then hopefully they got married by the end of their junior year, didn't finish their degree. So then the guy had to take care of them for the rest of their life. That was another one that I saw rather routinely.
See, this breaks my heart. I am all about, come on, guys, let's do it for ourselves. That breaks my heart to hear people doing that. It really does.
I want to challenge the Indistractable. I've not read the book, but I know a lot about addiction. Learning.
Okay, let me put this back up here so we know what we're talking about. Let's go.
Keeping people staring at a screen till their eyes are bloodshot and they can't think and they're falling asleep sitting up is not the same as learning. And I really challenge that concept because if there is, I'll give you an example. I created a course on chaos and complexity theory in management. I don't want to sound, what do you do when you can't find your ass with both hands? That's really what the title of the course should have been. And what I found was people, and I told the sponsor, I said, we're going to have a hard time because the market we're going to, if we even get an interest from 25% of the market, that's going to be high. I would only expect about 8 to 12% of the population to take this seriously. And sure enough, what happened, I think we got 15 to 20% of the population. And they wanted to make more money. And so what they did was, to keep people intrigued and to keep them interested, they started gutting the course and putting more fun stuff in there that was interesting. Essentially, they castrated the material. But people still got a certificate that said they had studied chaos and complexity theories applied in managing an organization. So I'm going to get the book because I don't want...
But this goes back to what we just said, though, isn't it? It's there are corporations out there that just put the rubber stamp on just because they get the money. It's not necessarily that it's been made interesting. I mean, you know, if I walked around a classroom full of students and I was being the boring, dry teacher, then people are not going to engage. They're not going to complete. But if you make it interesting, so people, not necessarily staring at a screen with bloodshot eyes and like, oh, I need to keep going, I'm addicted. Not to that level, but to the point where their brain just keeps ticking it over. You know, even when you go to sleep, if you get really into something, you know, let's say you've been binge watching something on Netflix, because that is an addiction. When you are binge watching, you go to sleep and you dream about those storylines. You kind of dream about this stuff. Yeah. It's that level of not being distracted. It's that level of being engaged, because your brain's just on it.
If I pick up, though, on what you were saying,
I was going to throw that out there since it's discussion.
We're pretty much in agreement.
Yeah.
Picking up.
I didn't think we were too far off there.
Okay. What you were saying, Lindsay, my history of civilization teacher in undergrad, I had to take 2 semesters of it. It was standing room only, because what he did was, I remember specifically when we were doing Egypt during the Ptolemaic period. And what he started with was a day in the life of an average Egyptian under Ptolemaic reign. Where did they wash their face when they got out of bed? What food did they eat? If someone died, not everyone gets a pyramid and stuff like that. And so what he did was, he started with this. I'm huge on mythology and stories.
Yeah, me too.
In fact, what I tell people when I teach podcasting is from the heart to the head to the tongue. You do not start in the head. It's from the heart to the head to the tongue. And Dr. Carrig, he had more friggin' stories about what it was like in the Middle Ages, and everyone thinks of, you know, Sir Lancelot and stuff like that. No, if you lived to be 12 years old, you were pretty lucky, because you'd probably die of typhus or cholera. People could not get enough of his courses, and you end up learning, and I think this is the goal that you're talking about, and I'm in agreement. You want stuff to stick that people can't get it out of their heads, that 30, 40 years later, they're still remembering that story because the teacher tapped into that other person through some mythic something about the material that they're teaching.
Yeah, you've got to transcend the material. You've got to be that character almost that hooks them in, so that you're not just teaching them a dry syllabus, you are connecting with them as this character telling a story. I mean, just to kind of hit off that, literally, I mean, everyone knows that I have a very big crush on Professor Michael Scott in the UK. He does classics at Warwick. Really fantastic guy. His brain is amazing. And I get really excited when I tweet him and he tweets me back. And he teaches, you know, laugh, it's funny. He teaches obviously classics. It's very, very dry subject. You know, literally, I was so excited yesterday that his show was back on TV, because it's so fascinating that I was like tweeting and LinkedIn messaging my friends going, you've got to go watch this now. It's amazing. Because when you get a good teacher that can bring the topic to life and they're actually engaging, it is a very different scenario to somebody just sitting, recording some videos like this, you're talking like that. You know, it's different, and people switch on to that and they want to complete because they want to find out the rest of the story. But it's about breaking your syllabus up, like you and I would, Gary, where we're then saying, this is what we're teaching. This is the story that we're showing. This is how we're bringing people along. I mean, you know, I've got something really complex that I'm teaching. I'm teaching people how to build virtual summits and virtual events for people who may not be tech savvy. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm literally building a live event with them. so that they can see how it goes together and hear
Cool.
the story of how you do it, so they are involved
Yeah.
at a point where they can see the experiment almost, as opposed to just, watch a video that's got bad sound, it's got bad lighting. That's what we kind of need to get away from when we're creating courses for people, when we are delivering those types of things, I think.
Yeah, this is a sidebar statement, but do you realize you're a sapiosexual? Are you aware of that? You know what a sapiosexual is? Someone who's attracted sexually to another person's mind.
What can I say? I mean, if you've got an amazing mind, we're all good. Just for anyone that's watching, just please do not keep sending me dick pics to my Facebook, because I'm fed up of that.
We don't. Yeah, that's.
I keep getting a lot of that recently.
Yeah,
I think every woman does. It's terrible.
Oh, look, I've never seen one of those. Oh, anyway. All right, so we got quite a bit to cover before we wrap up here. One thing I want to make sure that we touch on here, is the participation. And Charles, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and I love the discussion that's developed here. And hopefully we can continue that in our future episodes, because that's what makes it fun.
Who was that person that just posted?
That was I think it's Charles Sterling. That just posted. I may have to refresh because I'm trying to do
I'd like to connect with that person on LinkedIn because of the simpatico, the connection of what Lindsay and I are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
I will. I'll go ahead and introduce you guys.
Whoever you are, I'm going to come stalk you in the comments later.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do a PM and introduce the three of you, if that's okay, after the show. Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So what else am I going to get to? Oh, I know what. Just real quick, we're going to do a celebrity bow tie auction. We're not going to do it today, but I was thinking that maybe we could go over the details. The gist, if y'all didn't get the memo yesterday, is that I've got a lot of bow ties, more bow ties than any human really should have. And so, Carla and I are on this simplification thing. We downsize. We've gotten rid of a lot of junk that was weighing us down. We feel free. We feel great. But there's a lot of these ties that I haven't worn them in 6 months. Why'd I get it? I hate, this looked like a totally different color on Amazon. And then I got it and I'm like, it's like baby poop brown. And I was like, just maybe I'll wear it someday. And I wore it once. I'm like, So anyway, I've got a dozen or so of those. And I was thinking, you know what? I could just give them to Goodwill. I could just it's where they'll sit on a shelf in some stinky thrift shop for however many years until somebody throws them away. Or I could sign them and auction them off and give the proceeds to charity. And Carla said, well, what charity? And I said, I don't know. I left that part blank because I hadn't figured it out yet. So now until the rest of the show, if you guys in the audience can tell me, what charity would you like? I was thinking possibly First Responders Children's Foundation. Which is, again, it's designed to help take care of defray some of the costs of first responders who've been donated their time in the COVID-19 pandemic. So that was the one that came to mind. If you guys got others, let me know. But what do you think? Silent auction? How do you do something like that, man? I don't think these things through. I just put out videos and then figure it out later.
You could do a silent auction. You just need to collect the bids. So I'm sure Carla will be up for seeing a bit of admin and keeping you straight on it. So it's going to be a case of kind of trotting them along the screen. You'll have to do a little video trotting them along the screen with a little kind of number so we can all say which one we want. And then we can put bids on it. That was how I was thinking.
Okay.
Without the creepy face there, Lee. That looked a little bit kind of... If LinkedIn didn't flag us for saying sapiosexual, they're going to flag you for that face.
Oh, they are absolutely going to flag me for that face. And here I am griping about GQ not picking me up for the cover. I'm like, just
They haven't seen that picture. They
If I
haven't seen
can't-
that moment we all just shared.
Lee, are you going to include instructions on how to tie a bow tie? Because you're one of 5 people in the world that know how to tie a bow tie. It's just a thought.
Well, I really was like, I don't know. I was thinking more like of a souvenir thing. I mean, like, I don't wear around the lanyard that Chris Angel signed when he complimented my bow tie and told me what a great person I am.
Wow.
I mean, it just it's
pretty
there, but I don't prance around. I don't like go around to my neighbors going, "Hey, look, it's Chris Angel's lady signing." You know, I don't do that. It's just there, and it's like, look, it's a memento. Cool. I met somebody C-level famous, kind of.
I think you just need to do a video and send it to that guy, the other guy who does bow ties on LinkedIn, the insurance guy, and you need to just send him them and go, like, you know, you need to make a giant donation. Because I saw you commenting on his post earlier, and I was like, oh, somebody else that does bow ties?
Yeah.
You know what?
I would
That
know
brings me. That brings me to announcements. We're not doing BowtieUP live Friday because I'm going to be on Daryl Perry's show, and that's the bow tie gentleman that you're referring to. I'm sure that we'll be promoting the heck out of it between now and then. But we scheduled it, and I said yes, and then I thought, oh, that's when BowtieUP Live's supposed to be, and I'm like, okay, you know what? We'll do a little pre-show, and then we'll go over there and hang out with Daryl. He seems like a great guy. I can't wait to mix it up with him. He seems like he's got some great bow ties too.
He has been in my feed for a while, and he is an amazing guy. And you'd almost think somebody had told me to say that then, you know, and to promo you into that little segue there.
You think? Well, it could be. Yeah, no. So I'm excited about that show. I haven't done somebody else's live for a couple of weeks, so I've gotten a little comfortable behind my little pulpit here.
What's his name?
Daryl.
Daryl Perry, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Perry?
It's Daryl with one R, by the way.
Oh,
DARYL.
Daryl, the other bow tie guy. That's just the easiest way to
The
remember
other,
him.
yes, Daryl, the other bow tie guy. Daryl Perry.
How do I
Second.
find his
Entrance.
channel?
I'm connected with him on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll be running a LinkedIn live just like I would.
So what's his last name?
Perry, Paul, Edward, Ralph. Yeah.
I think what would be really cool would be if you tag him in at the end of the comments, Lee, and then just put a little post out tomorrow and tag all of everybody who's watching now, tag them in the post, and they can all see and join in.
Yeah, I'm still learning too. That's why I bring you guys on the so you can teach me how to do these things.
I'll take over Alex's little
we're-
spot there for him since he's not here.
Somebody
You do a much
in
better
line.
job than Alex. It's much better.
Alex is really good at the technical mixy bits. That's just not my jam. I will, however, bring the beer because, you know, I'm a Brit and it's like 10:15 my time at night. So it's like, well, it's beer time.
Holy cow.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not that I drink a lot, guys, because I'm aware that every time I come on, I've normally got a beer in my hand. Just making sure you all know.
Insurance benefits expert. Okay.
Yes. Okay. It reminds me there was a movie that John Cusack was in, and he played a writer. And someone offered him a drink, and he's by holding out the decanter and saying, "Do you drink?" And he says, "I'm a writer. Of course I drink."
Yeah,
I don't, but it's
it's not a prerequisite to come on BowtieUP, is it, Lee? It's not that you have to be
Oh,
either
you don't have to be drunk to
batshit
show
crazy
up here.
or drink alcohol.
No. You could be. It's just you could be high on life, whatever. Peyote. I don't know. Whatever. It's all good. Yeah, you don't have to be.
Cool.
You don't have to show up here sloshed.
Not that anybody would. Just making that clear.
You know somebody will now.
I've opened the doors for you. What can I
We're
say?
like, okay. Somebody's like, what is it? Hold my beer.
It's not like we've got that person in the comments that I upset last time I came on when they were ranting about 5G. What was it now? They were ranting about 5G and how it's taking over the world. It's all a conspiracy. And I kind of directed a comment and they took it rather rudely, didn't they? Do you remember that one?
I do remember that one.
Somebody was very kindly saying in the comments, don't engage.
Yeah, I've had to pull myself back from the ledge a few times. It's like, there's always people who have nothing better to do.
Well, I was trying to figure out why people in Britain that conspiracy theories in 5G, they were trying to burn down towers that are made out of steel. I couldn't quite figure out the reasoning behind that. I couldn't figure out the reasoning behind the combustion theory, let alone 5G. I think 5G.
We're not all that bothered here. This is the thing. In the UK, most people aren't that bothered. They're just like a little bit aware. They're kind of like, well, whatever. They're really not that bothered, as kind of everyone makes out. So I think it's just like a media thing. I don't know anybody that's that bothered, and none of my networks seem to be that bothered.
It just seems like the oddest conspiracy theory that 5G is where Ebola virus or where coronavirus came from. I
don't know. This week it's disappeared anyway, because it's nobody's newsfeed this week that we're talking about corona, is it? So basically it's all disappeared now anyway. The news is on to a different topic this week.
It's amazing, because if you see someone with coronavirus who's infected, if you turn around, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have born again Christian friends, and they taught me that the virus is gone.
I wish somebody had told me that when I was suffering with it back in January. That would have saved me a lot of pain and heartache.
If you don't look for it, it's not there, so it's gone. See, it works really easy. You just the other thing is if your brain, if it's not fully developed and you don't understand persistence, the other thing you can do with the virus is just close your eyes. So if you close your eyes, it's gone. Now, the problem is if you open back up, the virus is back. So I'm not sure that that's the best prescription.
9.
Yes, and in other news today.
Okay, I can't remember if it was anything else that I had. We covered the bow tie thing, and so
have we done all of your announcements, Lee?
I think so.
I like the first responder.
You like that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll set
that.
up some shtick around that. I'll give it a couple weeks, because it'll take me some time to set up some shtick around it and get involved. But we'll do that, and then less the cost of whatever it takes me to mail all these bow ties out to people in the far-flung corners of the world. We'll donate some money to help out the first responders who have so graciously gotten us through. We hope gotten us through the coronavirus pandemic. I guess I shouldn't be counting chickens or ducks or any other sort of birds before they hatch, but
Don't go there, or we'll end up talking about avian flu or something else. I think we should just park that point.
Okay, yeah, we'll pin that for next time. So, you know what? We'll do this. We will go to final thoughts. And both of you have been here numerous times, so you know what the heck this is all about. 30 seconds, minute and a half, what the heck ever. All right. You want Gary to go first? Okay. Let's go to center screen, Gary, and go.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity getting to meet Lindsay, those sapiosexual people. Oh, I can't stop thinking about it. And the other thing is, in terms of online courses, etc., I want to go back to my favorite mythologist, Joseph Campbell. And as he says, if it doesn't feel like death, it's not real. Sometimes you get the elevator, other times you get the shaft. The important thing is to do your own lessons learned and keep on moving forward. And that's what you should look for in any course you take, whether it's brick and mortar, through the mail, or online. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's a good thing to do. I don't want to be your thing. It's not me. No. Goodbye now. You.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Lindsay. I don't know how I ended
right.
up center screen, and I'm just like, no, that's all right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I was just giggling away there as Gary's saying that, thinking if anybody has not seen iZombie, then do watch that, because then you'll find Gary's comment even funnier about sapiosexual. So there we go. But in final thoughts, my thoughts are that if you are going to buy into a course as a student, you want to make sure that the focus is on your experience. in emails people send out, even, do they, basic things, if they're talking to you about a particular subject, do they group the subject together in little square brackets so you can easily track them in your email? Because I do. That's how I send things out for my students and people, so they can group things and find stuff. Basic thing. But does the person who is teaching you actually know how to teach? Can they teach a course where you're coming away, even if you're watching a webinar, you're watching some free content, where you're coming away with something actionable that you can go and work on? If they're just using lots of stuff and filler content, maybe start to look at giving it a wide berth. I always just say, when it comes to courses, look at who is going to teach you and who is going to get down and dirty in the trenches with you, and make sure that it's that kind of no man, no woman left behind, and make sure that you are, if you're making an investment in your business, yes, the onus is on you to make sure that you're doing your part, but are they really doing their part as well? Because if they're just going to give you access to 6 weeks of dodgy videos, that would, you know, dodgy sound, dodgy video, if that's the case, steer clear. But, you know, it's doing your homework, it's understanding what you're engaging with before you kind of part with your cash. And equally, you know, you've got to be a good student. You've got to take yourself to the point where you just say, look, I know that I'm making an investment and I'm going to do this to complete, because no teacher wants a student that, you know, buys it and never logs in. You've got to do both sides of the coin here, guys. But yeah, that's my final thoughts beyond, you know, put the bow ties on auction and do first responder children. I think that'd be great.
There we go. Okay, well, I got us a little bit out of order there, but at least I got us all back into the screen. So
I don't mind being
point.
on top.
I wasn't going to touch that.
We've already going to have got a LinkedIn flag. We might as well go the whole way.
All right, clean that one out. All right. Excellent point about this, because I know, having put tons of work into programs that people, and having people not finish them, it's eyeball scrapingly frustrating. So, you know, yes, it's eyeball scrapingly. You know, whatever.
LinkedIn users, that final comment there. I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt, Lee. That final comment from LinkedIn user.
Oh, okay, I took off 3 with a great instructor. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says you're right. Of course you like it.
But this is the thing, you appreciate those battle scars and the blood, sweat, and tears once you've come out the other side. And a great teacher will make sure
Totally agreed
that you keep getting your ass kicked until you've taken it over the line.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a statement of belief in the student.
Yeah. It reminds me of that, and I know you guys will always know films better than me in naming this. But you know the scene, it's a sports film, and the guy is a quarterback. I don't know your football terms, but he literally crawls along the flooring, kind of like doing like hill climbers, carrying somebody on his back, and he's meant to get to the 25-yard line, and he's got his eyes kind of bound over, and the coach keeps motivating him, and he's saying, I can't do it. And actually he crawls the entire length of the field because the coach kept motivating him. It's having a great support network and a great coach.
Yes.
Very good. So I guess I'll do a quick final thought here, because there's one thing that I can think of that I definitely want to add, if I can do this without screwing everything up, and that's this. When you are creating a course, one, I've learned the hard way that you don't create as you go. I've had so many people have taught this, and we talked about this earlier today in their LinkedIn feed, about how so many coaches course creators are taught to build as you go along. Sell it and then build it. Okay, sounds like a wonderful idea in theory. I wouldn't do it. One person I talked to cited ethical concerns, because, okay, how do you know you can provide this for somebody if you haven't built it yet? Second, from a provider standpoint, I found out that it's really, really exhausting when you're only working a few days ahead of your students. So I found out the hard way that is absolutely not the way to do it. The other reason for that is that as a course provider, you need to be creating clear expectations through your copy. If people know what to expect when they get there and what to do each step of the way, they're more likely to actually consume and use the content and get the results that you want them to get and that you hope for them to get. And that's going to get you the kind of referrals and the kind of repeat business that you're looking for. So clear expectations through your copy every step of the way. Also through phone calls, consultations, emails, anything that you're communicating about the program with the client, be very, very about what they can expect when they get there.
100% agree.
Yeah.
110%. It's having that clear plan and the clear success, isn't it? And that clear path for how you're going to get people there, and then work from that path and stick to it. You know, say what you're going to do and stick to it.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you both for joining me. Thank you everyone in the audience who came out and hung out. I forgot to do the stop the shows and say hellos and all that, but you know,
We've been doing it anyway with the comments.
yeah, kind of sort of like that. Thanks for everybody for joining. We will see you Friday. You know what? Maybe we'll do a pre-show live stream, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes before I jump over to Daryl Perry's what's this called? Business with Benefits is the name of the live stream. Yes, Daryl Perry. Go ahead and connect with him. Tell him I said to say hello. Check out his Business with Benefits live stream on Friday. I'll be over there yapping about something. I'm not quite sure what yet, but it'll be entertaining and instructive.
That's an interesting title. My brain went in a certain direction with that title. And
I'm sure it did. And it may have been designed to do that because it sticks in your mind.
I have been to Amsterdam, but anyway.
Ooh, that's on my list. What you guys, do you have something, Lindsay?
I was going to say thank you to, and I can't see who it was that did point out, because I knew you guys would know it. I know this audience knows stuff better than me. Death Crawl from Facing the Giants is what we're on about. So yeah,
okay.
That's the scene I was on
Well,
about.
thank you for clarifying that. We appreciate that. All right, everybody, we will see you on Friday. Until then, you know what to do. Be present, be well, and of course, bow tie the heck up. See you later.
Take care.
Ciao for now, guys. Bye. There we go. Lee's gone.
Finally, thank God. I didn't think we could get rid of him.
It's all right. So it's good to talk to you, Gary. I've obviously seen you on bits and pieces anyway, so it's good to kind of connect and kind of see you on a screen.
What's that?
It's good to connect and see you on a screen. I've kind of seen you
Likewise.
kind of doing bits and pieces with Lee and chatting away in the other comments and things before. So yeah, it's all good.
Shall connect with you later.
Yes, definitely. I'm just going to go get out of this office because it is ridiculously hot here today. And having all the lights on because it's nighttime, it's just made it just, I think that's why my Mac melted down at the beginning, because it's just like, couldn't cope.
Gotcha. You take care.
Yeah, you take care. I'll speak to you later. Bye.